My name is Madonna Carter. I'm 33 years old, and for 2 years I thought I was in a solid, loving relationship with Victor Hale, a 29-year-old consultant, with an easy smile and a talent for saying all the right things. Everyone said we looked perfect together, the kind of couple that made people believe in compatibility. But they didn't see the quiet moments. The silence after his phone buzzed, the way he started turning his screen away from me, or the gut feeling that began to whisper something's not right. It started small. Little things that only someone deeply familiar with another person would notice. Victor used to leave his phone charging on the nightstand face up unlocked. One morning I noticed it was flipped over. The next day he carried it into the bathroom with him. Just scrolling, he'd said. By the end of the week, he had a new password. Then came the networking events. Late nights. Unexplained overtime. A sudden interest in poker with the guys, a game he'd never mentioned before. When I asked who was there, he always gave the same vague answer. You don't know them, babe. But the human heart knows when it's being lied to, even if the lies are dressed in charm. Thursday night was when the doubt turned into something heavier. He came home at 11 p.m., smelling faintly of whiskey and expensive perfume. His tie was loosened, his hair slightly out of place, not the usual neat Victor I knew. He dropped his keys on the counter and kissed my cheek too casually. Long poker game, I asked, trying to sound light. Yeah, Mike's place ran late. You know how he gets when he's winning. He poured himself a glass of water, not meeting my eyes. Mike, I repeated, tilting my head. Mike who? He froze just for a heartbeat. It was quick, but I caught it. You haven't met him. New guy from work. Something cold crept into my chest. Right. The same new guy who hosted last Thursday. He turned, a small smile forming, but it didn't reach his eyes. You keeping score now? I smiled back tightly. Just keeping track. That's when the air shifted. He put the glass down and leaned against the counter, arms crossed. You know, Madonna, this thing you do, the interrogations, the second-guessing, it's not healthy. I met his gaze evenly. It's not healthy to lie either. He let out a dry laugh. You're paranoid. Seriously, you need to relax. You'll never have proof of anything because there's nothing to prove. The words hit like ice water. You'll never have proof. He said it so confidently, like a man who believed his lies were untouchable. I stayed silent, watching him walk past me into the living room, humming under his breath. He thought he'd ended the conversation. He thought I'd drop it, that I'd let the unease die quietly inside me. But silence doesn't mean surrender. I waited until he was in the shower before I opened my phone. There was only one person I trusted to handle this kind of thing. My cousin Rita Myers, a private investigator. We'd grown up together. She handled marital and insurance cases mostly, but her specialty was infidelity. I texted me, Rita needs your services. Personal matter. Discreet. Rita Victor me. Yeah. Rita, I'll call you in 10. Exactly 9 minutes later, my phone rang. Talk to me, she said, her tone sharp and professional. He says he's working late. Poker nights. Gym Saturdays. New passwords. Different cologne. And tonight he said I'll never have proof. That's a challenge, Rita replied dryly. You want surveillance? Yes, whatever it takes. Family rate $500 up front, full report within a week. Send me his photo license plate, usual hangouts. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You might not like what I find. I swallowed hard, just find it. When Victor came out of the shower towel around his waist, steam trailing behind him, I was sitting on the bed pretending to scroll through my phone. He smiled like nothing had happened. You good? I looked up at him. Yeah, just tired. He leaned down and kissed my forehead. Don't overthink things, okay? I love you. Love you too, I whispered, tasting bitterness at the back of my throat. That night, while he slept soundly beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His breathing was steady, peaceful, the sound of someone who believed they were safe. But my mind was already racing ahead, building quiet strategies. Maybe it was intuition, maybe it was pride, but deep down I already knew. The moment a man says, you'll never have proof, he's telling you everything you need to know. The next morning, Victor left early for work, coffee in hand, phone in pocket. He kissed me goodbye like always, same lips, same tone, same lie. As soon as the door clicked shut, I forwarded all the details to Rita, his scheduled gym workplace, his favorite cafe downtown. By noon, she'd replied with one simple line, surveillance begins tonight. I went through the motions that day, answering emails, joining meetings, laughing at coworkers' jokes. On the outside, I was fine. Inside, a storm was building, slow and cold. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart skipped. Every ring of a notification felt like a step closer to truth or heartbreak. That night, as I made dinner, Victor called to say he'd be home late again. Poker night, he said lightly. Don't wait up. I won't, I replied, setting my phone down with shaking fingers. The apartment felt bigger than usual after he hung up. Empty, quiet, echoing. The smell of garlic and simmering sauce filled the air I'd cooked for 2 out of habit. Half the food sat untouched. I sat on the couch, staring at the door, thinking about every red flag I'd ignored. The way he flinched when his phone lit up, the half smile when he read a message, the weekends he suddenly worked overtime. I wasn't sure if I wanted proof anymore or if I just wanted permission to walk away, but either way, I was going to find it. At midnight, a text arrived from Rita. Got movement. He left work at 5:15, changed clothes, drove to a condo downtown, parked underground. I'll update you. I stared at the message for a long time, then locked my phone and turned off the lights. Victor thought I was asleep. He thought I believed him. He thought his secrets were safe behind locked screens and late-night excuses. But what he didn't know was that by saying, "You'll never have proof," he'd given me exactly what I needed, a reason to find it. If he wanted to play games, I'd make sure the final score wasn't in his favor. Rita didn't waste time. By sunrise the next day, she already had a small operation set up her camera gear, tracker log, and a running document she called the Victor Project. I met her at a cafe before work, pretending it was just another morning coffee between cousins. No one around us would have guessed we were plotting to uncover a double life. She stirred her coffee calmly. He left that condo at 11 last night, she said, scrolling through her tablet. No, wasn't alone. The woman was with him the entire time. Blonde, early 30s, professional look. They laughed in the car, kissed before going inside. I froze. You're sure? Video's clear enough to count his freckles. She turned the screen toward me. There he was. Victor. My Victor. Laughing in a dim parking lot jacket slung over his shoulder, holding the car door open for someone else, then leaning in to kiss her like he'd done to me just hours earlier. The air left my lungs all at once. Her name's Layla Morrison, Rita continued. Investment consultant. Divorced last year. Met Victor at a financial networking event 6 months ago. I'm still digging into how close they've gotten, but by the look of that footage, I get the picture, I murmured, staring at the screen until my own reflection blurred. 6 months. Half our relationship. He'd been building 2 lives side by side, one built on convenience, the other on thrill. And all the while, he'd looked me in the eyes every morning and said, "I love you." Do you want me to keep going? Rita asked softly. Yes, everything. Times, places, patterns. I want it airtight. She nodded. I'll handle it. That night, I cooked dinner like nothing was wrong. Pasta, salad, wine, the routine of a woman in love. When Victor came home, he smiled, like always, kissed me on the forehead, and talked about office gossip. I nodded, asked about his poker friends, and laughed at all the right moments. He didn't notice my hands trembling under the table. He didn't notice how carefully I watched his every word. He didn't notice that the woman across from him was quietly gathering evidence to dismantle his entire act. When he excused himself to take a work call, I stared at his phone sitting on the counter just out of reach. A flash of curiosity burned through me, not enough to act, but enough to imagine what secrets hid behind that black screen. 2 days later, Rita texted again. Rita, your boyfriend left work at 6:20, met Layla at the same condo, stayed 2 hours. She drove a BMW. They went up together. Me got photos Rita sending now. When the pictures arrived, I didn't cry. I didn't throw the phone or scream into a pillow like the movies. I just stared. Victor's hand at the small of her back, her head tilted against his shoulder. That same confident grin he used when he thought he was being clever. Inside, my heart cracked open, but on the outside, I was stone. Because grief is loud, but betrayal is quiet. It settles in your bones, heavy and slow. Saturday morning, he left for the gym. His duffel bag slung over his shoulder, the smell of citrus body spray trailing behind him. You'll be gone long, I asked. Maybe a couple hours. I might grab a smoothie after. Have fun. He smiled. You're not mad about the poker night thing. No, I said softly. You were right. I need to trust you. He kissed me before walking out the door. The sound of it made my skin crawl. By the time I cleaned the kitchen, Rita had already sent me another update. Rita. He's not at the gym. He went straight to Layla's apartment. They went inside, bag and all. Me. For how long, Rita? 2 hours and counting. 2 hours later, Rita. He's leaving now, still smiling. I sat down at the dining table and stared at the empty chair across from me, the one where he always sat complaining about deadlines and cold coffee. He'd made that chair sacred, then turned it into a prop in his performance. Sunday evening, Rita called instead of texting. Her tone was professional, but hesitant. You ready for the details? Go ahead. He's not subtle. Lunch Friday, dinner. Saturday, coffee Sunday. Same woman. Always touchy affectionate. They meet in public like it's nothing. If you want, I can pull the bank records next, see if he's using your joint card. Do it, I said without hesitation. And keep tracking. There was a pause. Madonna, you don't sound surprised. Hey. I'm not, I admitted. He stopped kissing me like that months ago. That night I lay awake listening to the rhythm of his breathing again. Every inhale was proof of how easily he slept next to me while living a double life. When he turned in his sleep and draped his arm over me, I stared at the ceiling, counting heartbeats. I wanted to cry. I wanted to wake him up and scream the truth in his face. But what was the point? He'd only twist it, gaslight me again, and remind me that I'd never have proof. So instead I waited. I thought about how he'd look when he realized what I knew, about the moment his confidence would crack, the arrogance would dissolve, the satisfaction would drain from his voice. Because men like Victor always underestimate quiet women. They mistake silence for weakness until the silence starts taking everything away. By Monday, Rita had the full report. Layla Morrison. Divorced 1 year, works downtown, owns the condo Victor had been visiting. Met him at a corporate mixer half a year ago. Their affair had started shortly after. Rita sent the documents to my email, timestamps, photos, receipts, even a short video of Victor laughing with Layla at a wine bar. I clicked play. He was wearing the shirt I'd ironed that morning. I didn't reply to Rita's message right away. Instead, I sat in the dark with a glass of wine and tried to process the reality that every shared memory now felt counterfeit. The weekend trips, the long conversations, the random texts that said, "Miss you." All of it existed alongside her. The betrayal wasn't just that he'd cheated, it was that he'd made me believe I was paranoid for sensing it. He'd twisted my intuition into insecurity, my trust into blindness. I scrolled through the photos again, my vision blurring not from tears but from exhaustion. Then I saw one detail that almost made me laugh. The dress Layla was wearing, red silk, was the same one Victor once bought me for our anniversary. The irony was sharp enough to cut through the numbness. By Tuesday, the plan in my head had shifted. I didn't just want evidence anymore. I wanted his confession. Because some people don't believe the truth until they hear their own voice say it out loud. And if Victor believed he could hide behind charm and confidence, I'd make sure those very things destroyed him. He'd said I'd never have proof. He was right. I wasn't going to have proof. I was going to have a recording. Rita called me early Wednesday morning, her voice crisp and purposeful. I think I've got a way to make him talk, she said. Talk, I echoed, half asleep, half numb. Confess Madonna. Out loud. No gray areas, no denials. My associate, Nina, she's a social engineer. People open up to her like she's an old friend. If we can get Victor to brag in public, we can record it legally. Public setting, no privacy expectation. You in. I didn't hesitate. Do it. Gym seems to be his favorite haunt, Rita said. We'll start there. He works out before those fake poker nights, right? Fridays, 5 o'clock sharp. Perfect. Nina will be there tomorrow. I'll brief her. As I ended the call, my hands were trembling, not from fear this time, but anticipation. I didn't want to ruin him out of anger anymore. I wanted him to tell the world who he really was in his own words. Thursday. He woke up before sunrise whistling while he made coffee. I've got a long day, he said, pulling on his gym clothes. Need anything washed for your poker night? I asked softly. He smiled, not noticing the edge in my tone. You're sweet, babe. Don't wait up. He kissed me, and that moment I saw him clearly for the first time, not as my boyfriend, but as a stranger wearing a familiar face. When the door closed, I sat perfectly still, coffee cooling in my hands. Then I whispered to no one, "Good luck, Victor." 5:07 p.m. Rita texted Nina's in position. He's here. Locker room entry in 10. My heart hammered so hard it felt like it was echoing through my ribs. Minutes ticked by. Then another text, he's talking. I didn't breathe. 15 minutes later, got it. Wait for the audio. Those next 20 minutes stretched longer than the past 2 years of my life. When Rita finally sent the file, I had to steady my hands to press play. A faint hum of background music, the clatter of lockers. 2 female voices chatting, then a man's laugh, his laugh. Nina light teasing. You come here often, Victor. Too often. Gotta stay in shape for the double life. Laughter. Nina double life. That sounds intriguing. Victor. I'm kidding, kind of. My girlfriend thinks I'm here for cardio. Meanwhile, I'm getting my exercise elsewhere, if you know what I mean. Nina. Oh, naughty. She doesn't know Victor. Nah, she's sweet, but she's predictable. Always wants to talk feelings. The other one, Layla, she's fun. Keeps things interesting. Nina. You're juggling both Victor for months now. Easy, honestly. I just say I'm working late or playing poker. Madonna buys it every time. Nina. You ever feel guilty? Victor laughs. For what I cover half the rent, she covers the rest. Layla pays in other ways. Everybody wins. Nina. You're terrible. Victor. I know. But until one of them gets boring, why stop? The recording ended with his laugh echoing faintly under the hum of treadmills. I sat there staring at the wall, the audio still replaying in my head like a ghost whispering the truth I already knew. There it was, the proof he swore I'd never have. His arrogance word for word immortalized in digital form. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't even feel rage. Just quiet, cold, heavy quiet. That night he came home in high spirits, humming the same tune I'd heard in the recording. Poker night tomorrow, he said, grabbing a beer from the fridge. Sounds fun, I replied calmly. Don't wait up again, okay? I smiled faintly. Don't worry, I won't. He grinned, kissed my cheek, and wandered off to shower, blissfully unaware that his entire web of lies was now documented. When the bathroom door closed, I opened my laptop. Rita had already sent me a clean transcript and backup copies of the audio. I saved everything to a private drive and uploaded it to a secure cloud folder. Insurance. Because I wasn't sure yet what I was going to do, but I knew I'd only get one chance to make it perfect. As the water ran in the shower, I found myself standing by the door, listening to him sing softly to himself. The sound made my stomach twist. For a second, I remembered the early days. The man who'd bring me coffee in bed, who'd run his fingers through my hair while I read on the couch, who promised we'd travel more once work settled down. But the man humming behind that door wasn't him anymore. Maybe he never was. That realization hit harder than any betrayal could. When he came out wrapped in a towel, I was already in bed. He smiled, brushing a wet strand of hair off my face. You're quiet tonight. Just tired, I murmured. He nodded and climbed in beside me. Within minutes, he was asleep. I lay awake, staring into the dark, every breath of his sounding like an insult. He thought he'd outsmarted me. He thought I'd keep believing. But the thing about being underestimated is it gives you time. Time to plan. Time to prepare. Time to decide how you want the story to end. And I wasn't going to end it crying on the floor. I was going to end it on my terms. Friday morning, Rita texted again. Rita got a few extra clips. He bragged more at the cafe after the gym. Same stuff. We're done here. Me, send it all. I'm ready. I looked around the apartment that morning, the plants I'd kept alive, the photos on the walls, the books stacked neatly by the couch. Every piece of it was mine. My money. My effort. My home. He'd lived here like it was his right, like my life was a background set for his little performance. But that performance was about to close. I opened my laptop one last time, scrolled through the transcript, and stopped at one line that felt almost poetic. Until one of them gets boring, why stop? A bitter smile touched my lips. He'd made a mistake, not by cheating, but by underestimating who I become when I stopped pretending not to know. That night he texted from poker night. Victor running late again. Don't wait up. Love you. I didn't reply. Instead, I whispered to myself, you're right. You'll never have proof either. Then I began my plan. Step 1, secure everything that was mine. Step 2, remove him from everything we shared. Step 3, leave him a gift he'd never forget. Because proof wasn't enough anymore. It was time for consequence. Friday morning arrived quiet and bright, the kind of morning that used to mean comfort, sunlight filtering through sheer curtains, the faint smell of coffee, Victor's tie draped carelessly over a chair. But that day, the sunlight felt clinical like a spotlight on every piece of evidence of his deception. I got up early, moving deliberately, almost ceremonially. My revenge wasn't impulsive. It was precise, like tightening the final stitch on a wound that had festered too long. The first call I made was to the landlord. Hi, this is Madonna Carter. I need to confirm something about my lease. Yes, Ms. Carter, the woman answered pleasantly. I'm listed as the sole tenant, correct? No one else has any legal claim to the apartment. That's right, she said after a brief pause. You're the only one on file. Is everything okay? Everything's perfect, I replied, smiling. Just checking. When I hung up, the calm in my chest solidified. There would be no screaming, no scenes, no begging for closure. This wasn't about heartbreak anymore. It was about reclaiming what was mine. Next stop, the bank. I walked in wearing the same neutral expression I'd worn during our last dinner together. At the counter, I explained that I needed to remove Victor Hale as an authorized user from my credit card, the one he'd used for emergencies that apparently included weekly dinners and hotel reservations. The clerk nodded and typed a few keys. "Done," she said. "He no longer has access." "Thank you," I said simply, though what I really wanted to say was, "You just saved me from funding his double life." Then I withdrew my savings from our joint account money. I'd contributed every dollar earned by my own work. The balance under his name would remain, but without my deposits, that account would dry up in days. When I left the bank, my reflection in the glass doors caught my attention. I looked composed, even graceful. But beneath that, there was something steel-like, something Victor had never seen in me, because he'd never believed it existed. Back home, I took my time. I opened every drawer, every cabinet, collecting my belongings into boxes. My clothes, my documents, my grandmother's pendant. I labeled each box neatly: kitchen, bedroom, office, personal. The movers I'd booked through Rita's recommendation were punctual, professional, and discreet. Everything except the man's stuff, I said when they arrived. They didn't ask questions. Piece by piece, my life left that apartment, except the things that were his. His clothes stayed hanging in the closet, his shoes by the door, his watch on the nightstand. Every trace of me gone, but his world untouched. I wanted him to walk into his life exactly as he'd left it, only to realize it was hollow. On the kitchen counter, I placed a plain white envelope. Inside it was the printed transcript of his gym confession, highlighted in yellow. Madonna pays half the rent. Layla pays in other ways. Until one of them gets boring, why stop? And on the top page, a sticky note in my handwriting. "You were right. I never had proof until I did. Rent's due on the 1st. Good luck." I sealed the envelope and left it beside his coffee mug. Then I looked around one last time. The apartment was silent, stripped of warmth. I'd spent 2 years building a home, and in one morning, I'd dismantled it not out of spite, but because I refused to share it with ghosts. At noon, I handed the movers my new address, Rita's spare condo, on the other side of the city. By 1 o'clock, I was gone. From the window of the moving van, I could see the skyline shrinking behind me. It felt like shedding a skin I'd outgrown. My phone buzzed, a text from Rita. "He just got home, 12:45 p.m. You might want to hear this." I hesitated, then called her. The faint sound of her laughter came through. "You'd think he'd just walked into a crime scene." "What's he doing?" I asked, trying not to smile. "Standing in the living room, frozen. Keeps calling your name." Then he saw the envelope. "Oh, he's opening it now. Wait." I heard Rita stifle a laugh. "Oh, that face. Madonna, I wish you could see it. He's white as chalk." I closed my eyes, picturing him unfolding the pages, reading his own words, realizing the one thing he believed impossible, that I had proof. "Now he's pacing," Rita narrated. "Calling you. No answer, right?" "Straight to voicemail," I said. "Perfect. He's trying Layla now. No answer there either. He'll figure out why soon enough." "Want me to keep eyes on him?" "Yes, just for the weekend." By evening, Rita texted updates like breaking news. Friday 6 p.m., Layla blocked his number. Friday 7 p.m., he's calling mutual friends saying, "You overreacted." Friday 9 p.m., he's drunk. Left 3 voicemails for you. Want me to forward me? No. Delete them. Saturday morning, I woke up to sunlight filtering through a different window cleaner, and quieter than any morning I'd had in months. There were no coffee mugs, no aftershave, no reminders of him. It was peace, simple, undramatic, and exactly what I'd been missing. I made myself breakfast, checked my emails, and for the first time didn't glance at my phone, waiting for a message. I didn't need closure. I'd written it myself. That afternoon, Rita called again, half amused. He went to Layla's condo. And security didn't let him up. Apparently, she removed his name from the visitor list. He tried arguing with the receptionist until they threatened to call the police. I smiled faintly, stirring my coffee. And that's just day one. By Sunday, the situation had fully unraveled. Victor called his sister, his best friend, even his mother, spinning stories about how I'd violated his privacy and taken things too far. What he didn't realize was that the moment he started defending himself, he also started confirming my story. Lies are hard to keep consistent under pressure, and Victor was cracking fast. Rita sent me one final report that night labeled Phase 3 Collapse. According to her notes, Victor had lost Layla. His apartment lease renewal was pending. His coworkers had begun whispering about the audio, and his gym friends, the ones who used to laugh with him, were now keeping their distance. The same charm he once weaponized was now turning against him. I closed the report, leaning back in my chair. For the first time in months, I felt free. Sunday evening, I packed away my last box in Rita's spare room and poured myself a glass of wine. My reflection in the dark window didn't look broken. It looked resolved. Victor had said I'd never have proof, but proof was never what I wanted. I wanted peace. And peace doesn't come from confrontation. It comes from control. The control of knowing that the person who once underestimated you will now wake up every morning to the sound of his own downfall echoing in his head. He thought I was predictable. He thought I'd stay quiet. He was right about one thing: I did stay quiet, long enough for the silence to ruin him. By Monday morning, the silence had already started to suffocate him. Rita sent me screenshots, his social media posts shifting from arrogant calm to desperate damage control within 24 hours. The first one read, "Sometimes people can't handle your honesty, so they twist it into betrayal." The comments were brutal. "Honesty, you literally cheated. Bro, didn't you say double life at the gym? She has the receipts. You might want to go offline." He deleted the post within an hour, but the screenshots had already spread. I didn't lift a finger. I didn't have to. Truth moves faster when it carries irony. The next day, I opened my phone to find dozens of tags. Someone had leaked a portion of the gym recording. Not the whole thing, just the part where Victor bragged, laughing. My girlfriend thinks I'm at cardio. Meanwhile, I'm getting my exercise elsewhere. It was circulating under a hashtag Cardio King. People made memes, remixes, even parodies. One influencer captioned, "When your workout routine is called adultery 101. Everywhere he turned, his own words chased him. Rita texted me, Rita. Someone must have leaked the clip. Me, not me. Rita. I know, karma's got good PR lately. I didn't repost it. I didn't even comment. I didn't need to. The universe was handling the press release on my behalf. By Wednesday, Layla's ex-husband joined the online circus. He commented under a gossip post about the affair. "This, the guy she left me for, you love to see balance in the world." That was the final nail. Layla deactivated her social media that afternoon. Victor followed soon after. 2 weeks passed. I didn't hear from him once. Then one afternoon, Rita called, laughter, barely restrained. "You're going to love this," she said. "Guess who just got let go?" I smiled slowly. Victor. Apparently, someone sent the audio to his company's HR inbox. He works in public relations, right? Their official statement was not aligned with company ethics. That's poetic. Word is Layla's firm also dropped her as a client. Her reputation's tanking too. "Sometimes justice doesn't need a court," I said quietly. "It just needs Wi-Fi." Rita laughed so hard she snorted. "You really should write that down." Later that night, I sat on the balcony of my new apartment, the city glowing beneath me. A breeze brushed my hair across my face. For the first time in months, I could breathe without the heaviness of pretending everything was fine. I opened my journal, the one I'd abandoned, when things first began to fall apart, and wrote, "He said I'd never have proof of anything. He was right. I didn't need proof. I had him on record." The line looked cleaner on paper than it had in my mind. A month later, I saw him, accidentally. I was leaving a cafe downtown when I caught sight of him across the street. Same broad shoulders, same posture, but a different energy. Smaller, somehow, diminished. He looked older, tired. The kind of tired that doesn't come from work, but from running too long from yourself. He saw me too, froze mid-step. For a moment our eyes met. He gave me a half smile, one that was once charming, but now seemed desperate, like a man trying to summon a ghost of his old self. I didn't stop walking. He didn't call out. That was enough. Because I knew that in that single quiet glance, he realized I was no longer part of his story. He'd written me as a supporting role in his drama, but I'd rewritten it into his downfall. That night, I had dinner with Evan, a literature teacher I'd met at a bookstore weeks earlier. The kind of man who listens when you speak and laughs with his eyes, not just his mouth. As we talked, he mentioned casually, "Have you seen that viral audio clip about the gym cheater?" I smiled into my wine glass. Maybe once or twice. He chuckled. "It's wild how confident people get when they think no one's watching." "Confidence is easy," I said softly. "Accountability isn't." He nodded thoughtfully. "You sound like someone who learned that the hard way." Someone who learned it the right way, I corrected, meeting his eyes. Weeks turned into months. I rebuilt quietly, new job, new home, new life. I started attending a real book club, the kind where people actually discussed novels instead of alibis. I made new friends, learned to enjoy weekends again, started sleeping without nightmares. Every now and then, someone would bring up that audio clip laughing about the absurdity of it all. I'd smile faintly, sip my coffee, and let the conversation move on. No one ever knew it was mine. I didn't need them to. Because closure isn't about public vindication. It's about walking away from the wreckage with your dignity intact while the other person keeps tripping over the debris they created. Months later, on a rainy night, I found an email in my inbox from an unknown address. Subject line, "I'm sorry." I didn't open it. I didn't have to. Some apologies aren't meant to be read. They're meant to exist only as proof that you were right to walk away. I archived it without another thought. Then I poured myself a glass of wine, turned on some soft music, and looked out at the city lights flickering like tiny truths. Victor once said, "You'll never have proof of anything." But he misunderstood what proof really meant. Proof wasn't the photos or the audio. Proof was this moment, peace in my chest, calm in my mind, no bitterness left to feed. He'd lost everything trying to hide the truth. I'd gained everything by facing it. Sometimes people mistake revenge for victory. It's not.